Everyone, and welcome back to another episode of What If Africa Started Civilization Over. This is episode 5, of course. As you can see, I have changed up the way the recording looks, and this will be continuing throughout the next few days as I try to make my channel look nice and clean and look better than it did before. Today's episode, I've spent a little bit more time planning up for things. This episode is definitely going to be sort of filler. I guess this episode is going to be preparing for the next episode, which will be a little bit more important. Therefore, there's going to be a decent amount going on in this episode, but it's going to be like normal everyday stuff. It's not going to be super crazy. I am going to have the unexplored waters layer on for the rest of the series until I get feedback. Like, if you don't like this, please go ahead and tell me in the comments, of course. I sort of teased it last episode. There's going to be a conflict within the western section of Africa. It's basically between Guinea and Mali. Also, I forgot to change the capitals. I was basically planning, and I know I'm getting off topic yet again, but I was wondering if it would be better for the capitals to have little borders around. Obviously, it's a little harder to draw it then, but I can just copy and paste the things. But I was wondering if this would look better like this. I don't know. I thought that that would be a good idea. I don't really see anyone else doing it. What the heck? Now, actually getting into the video, we're going to see that Guinea is going to start up a military alliance since, you know, oh, shoot. In case it was not clear, I forgot about the people that were in this alliance. Well, update is this alliance still exists, but Guinea has been taking the their allies outside of this alliance. Like, they've been basically telling them that there is no use for them being in this alliance. All of the people that they're allied to are generally weak, and they're not going to be able to accomplish much. So they're gonna, get rid of their circles, and we're going to introduce a new alliance. Boom, we're going to see the new Guinea alliance. The alliance that Guinea has set up is going to be this nice little diamond alliance. And they are Guinea is going to declare war on Mali at first, or Mali. And it's basically going to make the two alliances go together. Now, may look like the Square Alliance is at a disadvantage here, but you gotta realize this, I think the last time, and I need to fix rankings, but the last time Ivory Coast was at number 11. I think they would probably be at number 10 now. Kenya has kind of been lacking. They got a little bit of power. Also, oh my goodness. They got a little bit of power from their expansions, but that didn't really last too long, as they are going to, they're going to drop down, and Ivory Coast is going to take their place, and right up behind them is Guinea, of course. We're going to see the first to invade is, obviously it's going to be Guinea. Let's turn on the water. But anyways, they're going to kind of start their invasion right here, and then they're gonna follow along the river. Guinea, I don't really need to explain this. Guinea is number 11. These guys are maybe like top 20, maybe. These guys are starting to climb the ranks. I mean, Burkina Faso was already, a decently strong, like they were like maybe around number 15, and then Ivory Coast was on the power rankings for split second. But we're also going to see Guinea is going to set a second campaign following this river straight through on their way to the capital. Ivory Coast is also going to commit to a campaign where they kind of just like take everything behind this river right here. And sort of Ivory Coast and Guinea have already sort of agreed that these sections of lands, like past this river border right here, will be mainly Guinea, and then this side of the river border will be Ivory Coast. And you know, they're pretty cool with that idea. And also we're going to see that Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso are going to kind of agree on like this last little split here, since it kind of follows their current border. They're gonna, like, all of this is gonna go to Burkina Faso and also be their responsibility in invading. Now we're gonna see that Guinea is gonna start slowing down because majority of Mali's forces are just kind of around the capital right now, because I don't think there actually is any other major cities in... Oh, there's one all the way up here. But that is going to be... What is this? That is very much going to be Burkina Faso's thing to deal with, because the other two can't really do much about that. They're not going all the way over there. Now, of course, Burkina Faso has to like actually do something, because I've been talking about them planning to do stuff. They're kind of just like spearheading towards the river, and they're curving around it to meet up with Ivory Coast. That way, you know, there's a bit more of a front line right here, and they can't go in from the side to attack these guys. Also, I need a chain. There you go, that's better. But Burkina Faso cannot do too much because Burkina Faso is probably the one with the most on their border. They have Mali, of course. They have Niger. They have Benin and Togo all on like a continuous front around them. So there's not too much they can do, and that is for a reason I will show you in just a second. Also, I think that when I'm in a war, I'm gonna set the military alliance layer to be, you know, slightly see-through, so that I can still have it up, so that you know which country's which, but I can also, you know, see what's going on. As we can see, Burkina Faso is not doing very good. If we look at their provinces, they have majority of their stuff taken. A lot of their provinces are like split in half between the countries, because their order of invasion is not very, you know, organized. But, you know, Burkina Faso is kind of struggling, and obviously their allies are supplying them. It's mainly coming from the more rich country of the three, and they're kind of supplying these guys. So like, they're not doomed completely. It's just that these guys have kind of been able to crush into them a lot faster than they expected. See, this may or may not have been the idea of the yellow team. It may not have been an accident of, you know, getting the whole circle in alliance involved, because a lot of countries in this western coastline actually are within the claims of like what the yellow team wants to acquire. And so whatever this country is called, I do not remember its name. This country is crushed in an instant because they are not a very strong country at all. These guys, however, will be a bit of a bone to pick with. They're going to use more of their method that they've been using so far, and that's kind of just like pushing up with the river, you know, and setting up a bunch of like fortresses and stuff. They're going to attack from the west side and take the coast as fast as they possibly can, using the help of their new occupied territory. And they're going to completely get rid of the coastline by taking this little bit for the Senegal country thingy. And they're going to completely occupy like this entire western section right here, which, I mean, they would really like to have all of this green country, I forgot the name of as well, But they are perfectly fine with this if that's all they can take. Burkina Faso is going to mainly prioritize taking out the Malians from their country because they're, well, I don't know, they have a bit more of a hatred towards them because that was kind of the whole point of the war anyways. And also Mali is still a dictatorship, and they've kind of realized that their previous dictatorship sucks. They pushed back their Mali's advances all the way back. However, this is going to let Niger, that is not the same color. They're going to like basically replace that those advances, and kind of just, it's gonna allow these guys to move in a lot more. Now, why exactly is Burkina Faso getting stomped in so fast? Well, you got to remember they did just get a regime change, and they're also weak, and they also had a rebellion in this area especially. This area folded super quickly because it is very rebellious on this eastern side of the border. And if they ever invade into these western parts, which hopefully they won't because that's where the Ivory Coast is, then it might also backfire because it's got rebellious sections too. So Burkina Faso's not necessarily weak, but, well, they're not a weak country, but they are currently in a weak state, if that makes any sense. But they are going to be able to reclaim some of this territory, fully connecting up with the border of Ghana, and they're going to kind of like push this northern bit so that they can start a counter-offensive right here, and they can take a little bit more of Niger's advances. Now, these three, mainly these two, because this one's sort of just like the puppet, I guess. They're the one that just has a pinky promise with these two, and they're improving relations. But right now, it's kind of just, they're just a puppy dog right now. But these two are going to kind of pay and persuade Ghana to join into this war so that they can just, eradicate Benin and Togo. And you know what? Ghana doesn't really mind, and they're going to join. And bada bing, bada boom. If we make sure that they're not cutting off the other ones, Ghana has joined the war, and instantly Benin and Togo, they were not expecting this, of course, and so they are not even close to prepared. I think Benin is probably more cooked than Togo, because Benin is way smaller, and they're kind of just going to spearhead and split the capital from the rest of the country, and they're going to siege the capital very quickly. They're going to send multiple of their boats right here. They're just going to boats from here to there, and it's going to work a little bit. Do realize that the technology of this world is it's again moving a little bit faster than it did, because some of the older generation, like the people who are now probably really old when the Great Wipe happened, they are sort of, they knew a little bit. There was a few that knew a little bit about like weaponry and like the stuff that's necessary to advance in technology. So they did get, I guess, a little bit of a head start. Now, Burkina Faso is going to thank Ghana a lot, because basically all of Benin and Togo's advances have completely disappeared, mainly just Togo. They're going to kind of push through here and push through this section to try and reclaim the capital for Benin. But this already Ghana has like basically all they need to do is really hold this. Like they could take this land if they really want to, but they don't. They mainly just want this and maybe a bit of Togo. But their main purpose in this war is just to get Benin and Togo off of Burkina Faso's butt. Now, Guinea has kind of centralized they have 2 centralized spots now, so it's a lot easier for them to invade. They have this sort of front, which I guess they have 3 sides because they're using this to the advantage, and they're also going to invade up into here to get a better advantage on this green country. But anyways, they kind of just have this section right here and this section right here, and they're gonna use the help of Ivory Coast to go across this river and kind of just completely crush any hopes and dreams of making it out of this war alive for poor little Mali, or Mali, sorry. But they're going to start, encapsulating and circling around the capital of Mali, and obviously this puts Mali in a panic, and now they are pulling out all of their forces from all of their things. They're kind of giving up on these regions, which allows Burkina Faso to kind of like claim a lot more land. They're probably gonna claim some of this land as well, but they're basically going to be able to invade into like all of this now because there's no longer any forces here. All of the people living here are probably either fortifying a lot or they're just leaving to go to Niger. And we're going to see that Guinea is going to kind of finish off this little section right here by the river, and they're also going to start curling up this end right here and spearheading towards the other spearhead to completely engulf and what's the word? I don't know. And completely encircle the capital. And Mali is kind of, panicking and freaking out, as you would as a pretty weak country getting their capital taken. And the operation is finished for this part. Now they just need to put a lot of pressure onto the capital and eventually claim it for themselves. Niger is slightly starting to have second thoughts about this war because their ally to the west is crippling, and they are not that strong to begin with. They're going to try and invade into this. They're also going to start sending a little bit more support down here to the south. But they're going to start, taking up the space that Mali had previously. However, Burkina Faso already has this invasion section right here, so they're kind of just going to do a sneak attack from behind, and they're going to completely push back Niger to the border right here. And also they're going to start invading as well. So props to Burkina Faso for being really good at this war stuff. They're going to completely go around here, and then they're going to do it again. They're going to sneak attack from behind, and they're going to spearhead and split this off and completely encircle this entire section. Man, whoever is the military general for this section needs to get a raise. Oh, interesting. It turns out that general that I was just talking about is actually from Guinea. Huh, interesting. Now, obviously, Niger is going to let go of their advances right here. They're going to quickly run back, and they're going to use those same forces to kind of enforce their actual border because they don't care too much about actually getting this land over their own land. However, now that Burkina Faso isn't dealing with Mali at all and isn't dealing with Benin and Togo, which, speaking of which, is doing really well, they are kind of screwed because now Burkina Faso has kind of stabilized after a bit, and now they're ready to, they're ready to play, and play they have indeed, because they've completely sieged and taken the capital of Niger. After a bit more invasion, they decide to just give up because they're already losing their kind of central. This part is a lot more populated than the rest of it. I mean, even though there is a major city right there, this part is still really populated compared to out in the middle of the freaking desert. So they're gonna surrender over to these guys. I'm just gonna be white as a surrender, which I haven't actually done that before, but if I color a country white during a war, then that means they are surrendering. Just letting you know. We're also going to see Burkina Faso is going to take the rest of this like river border claim right here, and they're also going to take a little bit more than that to kind of connect up with these sections so that they don't lose it immediately. I still have no idea what this is. I cannot figure out what layer it is on, but I'll deal with it later. Now, obviously, now that Burkina Faso has kind of got a strong grip on Mali right here, this has, I mean, they did this earlier, but this has allowed the Ivory Coast, and also because this is no longer really an issue, so it allows the Ivory Coast and Guinea to kind of both equally use their power to completely wipe out the capital of Mali. And they're also going to be able to do a lot more than that. They're going to be able to go along the advances of Burkina Faso, and they're going to completely spearhead to the other side, connecting up with Mauritania. I don't know what this country is called. It's something like that, Mauritania. But they're going to, you know, well, they're going to do a very, very good job. And all of these, like, I think this is, yeah, it's like, I'll finish this one off because they invade into this last one and this last one and this last one, and these last two provinces, one of them is getting invaded into, the other one is kind of fine, I guess. They're going to surrender, and basically Mali has lost as well, because no one here is, Niger's not going to defend this northern section, this deserty section, because they are surrendered. So this means that they are probably going to also surrender. Update on Togo. It's not very pleasant for Togo, but it's very, very pleasant for the Diamond Alliance indeed. Oh, I'm stupid. This is Senegal. This is Gambia right here. Speaking of Gambia, I'm not even going to change the color. Actually, maybe I'll make it a little bit darker. They're going to invade into Gambia really fast. And then the rest of Senegal is basically cooked because, well, now that Mali is done too, basically we have a little bit of Burkina Faso, a lot of bit of Ivory Coast, and basically all of Guinea is on your butt. And, well, there's a very quick invasioning. All of this southwest/western land is gone, and they're pressuring. There's two spearheads basically done by two different army groups, one by Guinea and the other by Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is taking out this major city, which they completely and efficiently do. And the capital is completely sieged and taken by, well, Guinea, of course. And clearly there's not a lot else for Senegal to fight for, so they are going to also surrender. However, I'm just going to color it in. And the rest of Togo is also going to surrender because they have no one else that's going to fight for them, and they have no one to fight for anyways. So this war has ended in a Diamond Alliance victory, otherwise known as Guinea and Friends victory. Let's see the damage. Okay, this took me a bit to do, but here is the peace treaty of Western Africa. It's pretty wild in my opinion. Guinea has basically doubled in size again. They have completely annexed all of Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is not very big, so it's not very surprising. Also, anyways, they have basically taken like 2/3 of Senegal as well. They have taken it up to these provinces. They didn't really want the capital at all. They just wanted most of this land, like most of the land that is to this river right here. But if they had the chance to have more land, and of course they were not going to turn that down. And they're also going to take all of the Gambia. Now, with these guys, they surrendered. Not that much land is going to be taken because no one really wants to even have this. Also, I don't want there to be super ugly borders. Now, with the provinces here, some of these borders go across the provinces. I will fix that at a later date, not right now. But anyways, Guinea is going to take the capital land of the of this section right here. Yeah, Guinea is huge now. They are comparable in size to a country like Nigeria, which is crazy because they were just barely small little Guinea, and now they're big Guinea. But Ivory Coast is going to take quite a decent chunk of land. They mainly just expanded upwards. They look interesting, but that's besides the point. I'd say Burkina Faso fought the hardest, and so they get quite a decent chunk of land. They get a little bit of the of Benin and Togo. We're gonna take those, and Ghana is going to expand quite a decent amount. They're gonna take all of the rest of Benin, and they're gonna take some decent chunks of Togo. Now, this may seem a little bit confusing. Basically, Niger is going to take this little northern bit of Togo. Why is this, you may ask? Well, this is because we're going to see a bunch of puppet states be made because, well, some of this would be, taken by one of these countries, but obviously they are not strong enough to be doing all that. So there's going to be a mix of, okay, this is basically what it is. By the way, most of these will not, as vassals and puppets are, they're normally not like super permanent. These two are kind of the least permanent right here. They both of the countries are willing to sell these, or sell portions of these territories, like they're very willing. It's not like super outrageously expensive if you wanted to do so, and someone is going to want to dig in on that. But anyways, we're going to look at Guinea right here. My goodness, it undid my thing. Anyways, Guinea over here is going to take their little puppet state of this. This is infamously known as the two provinces that kind of were able to hold their ground, but they eventually surrendered. And then just these two others right here. This one, I need to give it a capital in a second. But this right here, Burkina Faso's bit, is what actually got this little piece, this little province right here. It wasn't really Niger, because this is not Niger anymore. It's a different thing. It's a vassal slash puppet state now of Burkina Faso. It's a separate country that's under the occupation of these guys. And then Ghana is going to basically make Togo into a vassal. Both of these puppet states are up for auction, I guess, to their surrounding countries. If Niger wanted to, they could buy their stuff back, but they're broke and weak. So also, by the way, I did update the capitals, of course, except for this one. I forgot this one. Anyways, that was it for this whole Western conflict. It took up, well, majority of the episode. I mean, it was a pretty big war. I kind of baited you guys. I told you guys that there wasn't going to be that much exciting stuff going on, but then this happens. Let's get on to the next part. It will not be as exciting, I'm sorry. It is going to be the expansion and exploration of the, I guess, the Balkan, Romanian, Aegean region. Again, it just takes time to explore these lighter mountains right here. So some more of these Grecan, is it Grecan? Like when something is of Greece? Is it Grecan? Like these Greece mountains are going to be explored, and then we're also going to look in. They're going to explore into Yugoslavia, I think. I don't remember. Anyways, they're also able to explore the water and connect up with Italy. They now know that that is completely like right next to each other. There's most likely water between this because they've now explored the water here too. And yes, just like that. They're also now able to explore a lot more of this Mediterranean pocket right here. Also, the coastline of this one, I have no idea what I was doing here. I was not being very smart. And then they do better here. Oh, that's the wrong layer. They finish off Sardinia and Corsica, and they also start exploring a bit more of these Italian mountains. We're going to see that they're going to explore a lot more through these northern Balkan regions. They're going to kind of again push up through the rivers, and they're going to explore through, and they're both going to meet each other in the middle, both of the exploration groups, and they've now completely encircled the mountain right here. And also we're going to see a lot more of Turkey is being explored. This is mainly due to these guys because they want, like, their whole thing was focused on the people, but now they're getting a lot of more people because a lot of more people are escaping from these areas. They're going over here and they need more room, so they are given permission of the people to get themselves explore some more land, and they're going to expand as well. We're going to see their borders are a bit jaggedy because of the mountains. They kind of, they're going along. I at least think that maybe the mountains are kind of similar looking to this, but it's a lot more jagged because of the mountains, and they're, drawing their border up against with the mountains. So they're definitely they got some interesting looking borders. They're also going to take this little tiny bit of Crete right here, because they sort of have, I guess, a little bit of a connection. And we're also going to see Libya with their nice, interesting tribalistic ideology. They're going to expand more into Europe. Okay, I said a little bit for a reason because they're not taking like a outrageous amount. They're just taking, a decent bit. Gosh, I hate this map. I was actually trying to test a new version of the map a bit ago, like a better working map that doesn't do this stuff that I'm dealing with right now, but I don't know how I feel about it, and I want to try some other things first. Also, is that part of the unexplored? This is what Libya looks like at the end. They haven't expanded a lot, but they've expanded a decent amount. We are going to see a lot more exploration in Iberia because, well, there's a lot more demand for Iberian land. And Algeria is especially going to focus on Catalonia over here because they think it is their citizens and explorers think it's a very nice spot of residence. And also they feel like it's a nice, good connection because it's between, obviously, like the West, which, I mean, it's Morocco, so there's not too much going on there. Also, they're missing a capital. They're also able to trade with the French, and they're able to have like a nice stronghold in the Western Mediterranean, as they already are having. But let's see what they draw up for Catalonia here. Very squiggly borders here. I might need to fix this. Also, I have no clue what's going on with this like lighter border thingy here. Their Catalonia doesn't look the best, but it'll work for now. I changed it up a little bit. I don't know if I like this better or if I think it's worse. Maybe if I like, but this part. And I think that's better. Giving them less land, but it's whatever. But anyways, we're gonna see that Catalonia has been completely, well, not completely, but they've been generally taken by Algeria, and we're also gonna see Algeria is gonna claim the rest of Corsica and Sardinia. I don't know if I said that in the right order, but it doesn't matter. And they're also, of course, going, they're going to explore the rest of this Mediterranean pocket right here. I don't know why I'm doing it in such a difficult way, but a lot of progress in Europe. Egypt is going to take a lot of time to explore, explore into these mountainous regions. Yes, there are mountains here, but they are exploring into the mountains. Now, this means Sudan, they're going to claim the southern bit right here, and then they're going to continue to claim a little bit more. They're going to get their borders a little bit more, normal looking. However, Egypt is going to make things a little bit difficult here. With their knowledge of the region expanded, they are going to, they're going to expand their land down here into sort of more central areas of Arabia. Let's just wing it and do something like that. And they are going to claim all of these sections of the mountains, and it's just, this is some pretty bad border gore right here. Obviously, Sudan is going to lay claim to these lands. However, and I am going to also do the same thing for these bits and pieces of Sudan right here. This is an eyesore, man. That hurts my eyeballs. I should probably put this on a different layer. Yeah, I'm gonna do that after I give a brief explanation, I guess. Yeah, basically, Sudan believes that the rest of this land is theirs because, they were here and they were first exploring the mountains. They just didn't do it fast enough, quote unquote. But Egypt thinks that all of this should be theirs. All of this should be theirs because, it's closer in proximity to Egypt and their claims than it is to Sudan, which is sort of a fair point, but it doesn't really justify this absolute madness. Hey, this took absolutely forever, so I don't know how often I'm gonna do these. But I now have it to where I haven't done it for this stuff yet, because I do not have the time for that right now. But anyways, I now have a disputes layer, so I can turn this on and off. That way there's not a big eyesore in the middle of Arabia right here, and it can just be normal border gore and not hazardous border gore. Next up one is going to be a little bit short, and that is basically it's just going to be these guys are going to, they're going to explore, and oh my goodness, okay, they're going to explore a lot more of the Arabian regions that they are currently occupied in, and they're also going to begin exploring up into Persia. Yes, we start with the water, go through this to the edge, to the shore, and then we explore into the land mass that is Persia, and they find something. Turns out there's a lot of tribes over here. So they're mainly grouped up into these guys, the mountainous people, these guys, this little section right here, I guess, is more mountainous, and then this really northern part. They're kind of all grouped together because they're all basically the same race of people. They're all the same race of people. Who knows where these people came from and started a tribe. These guys are apparently really smart because they started off as a country. They skipped the tribal stage of leaving your country. They are going to try their best to respect these guys, and they're just going to try and do some deals with them, and they're going to claim this small little slither of land as their own, simply due to the fact that they don't want to arise conflict with these guys, because they look at these guys and they're not super primal. Like, these guys, obviously they're more advanced, but these guys are not too far behind. However, they do look different. They don't look like they originated from Africa like everyone else, because we are not too far after the wipe. All right, time is not past that much. So a lot of people still look African. These people don't really look African. So there's a bit of just suspicious activity going on here. But they're going to claim quite a bit more land here and here. And yeah, just overall expanding. They're going to connect up with Qatar. And that's basically it for this little section right here. We can turn off the tribal layer and the mountain layer. That is going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. I most definitely did enjoy this episode. I don't know what it was about it, but like just doing that Western war was really fun for me. But I really hope you guys enjoyed how it turned out. Now, not all, but a lot of the countries that were involved within this episode will be involved in the animatic, which will be a part of next episode. Now, yes, I know I'm a bit late because we're at 60 subscribers now. Oh my goodness, I'm an hour into recording. Wait, that means this video is probably going to be late. We are at 60 subscribers by now, so I'm 10 subscribers late for the animation, which, if you don't know, was promised for 50 subscribers. Basically, it's just going to be an animatic that is connected with What If Africa Started Civilization Over, and I'm just gonna have it be at the beginning of episode 6. So I hope you guys are excited for that, because I have really good ideas in my head. I haven't completely animated it just yet, but I am planning out the storyboard and just making sure that it all makes sense with the progression of the story so far. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good day. I will see you guys probably next Saturday, because I have no idea if I'm going to be able to post the regular video. Again, I suck with the regular video postings. Also, sorry if this video came out late, because it is an hour long in recording. Goodbye. I'll see you some other time. Make sure to drink water. After this video, drink water and stop doom scrolling.